All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Sam. I think you guys know me well. My topic is about should military drafting be abolished or should it stay? So I'm pretty sure we're all aware of the political news right now. We're in a war with Iran and Israel. I have a feeling that there may be a draft coming in the near future, and that affects us Gen Z because we're the target audience. There's always constant fear that if we are drafted, we'll, die. And there's always fear that any given moment our time could run out. My map is, I'll basically be talking about the reasons why military drafting should be abolished and the other side why people think it shouldn't. Starting with the why ban. According to the Force National Service, an article by David Henderson, drafting violates freedom, personal freedom. He says, and I quote, compulsory national service is a profound invasion of individual liberty. He argues that forcing people into service takes away freedom of choice. Mandatory service is incompatible with the core democratic values. He also reflects that it is an idea for the government to control the young people by forcing them into drafts. Give me a second. Hold on. Okay. My next article is the United Nations Children Funding. They say about 60% of young adults report being overwhelmed by the media, political news, propaganda. They claim to feel uncomfortable and scared with current events. They claim that global pressure it keeps us yearning for isolation. We don't want to deal with being drafted and fighting for a country that really, doesn't really consider our opinions in this day and age. And then another article, Generations After It's Here Today, Isolationism by Ron Evling. He claims that the U.S. should avoid getting involved in foreign conflict. If the U.S. avoids getting involved in overseas conflicts, we won't need a draft for us young people. And then another quote, many Americans want leaders to focus on problems at home. We see a lot of political stuff where they're worrying about what's happening overseas with the oil, how other governments are dealing with their people. And our president is seemingly taking note of it and trying to implement it into our democracy. Isolationists view prioritizing internal issues as a way for the democracy to grow and continue on in the near future. The draft contradicts this goal by shifting attention towards the war readiness. And then another point is unrealistic expectations. For instance, I have a cousin that's really obsessed with Call of Duty, and she claims that she's gonna decorate her gun, put charms, decals, try to hit a 360, no scope, off buildings and respawn. That's just not the way it is. Very childish, but whatever. And then now moving on to the perspective that doesn't want the drafting to be banned. There is a rising case of the need for nationalism. If you don't know what nationalism is, it's basically the pride people feel for their country. People should want to fight for the country to protect others. But then again, there's a growing mental health crisis within us individuals, and there's a growing need for isolation. According to this article, no, bringing back the draft would not stop U.S. warmongering by Ron Jacobs. He claims that a large-scale anti-war movement The end would involve many active duty and retired soldiers. War ends. War ends through organized resistance and public pressure, not by changing recruitment policies and reinstating conscription. And then finally, my next source is Military Conscription and its Role in Shaping a Nation by Nina Nazar. She says that they strengthen the national identity. It promotes loyalty to the state and helps a shared national identity. It becomes a space for people to feel like they belong with each other. It just builds, a sense of family, friendship. In all, the U.S. should completely get rid of the mandatory drafting because it's caused by the lack of nationalism and the increase of isolationism. The state of the target audiences, aka us, our mental health crisis and the overall circumstances of our current presidency are making us feel like if we fight in the war, we're being used instead of honored. And yeah, that's it.
Alright, thoughts, comments, questions for Sam?
What made you choose your topic?
It's just a rising issue that, especially in political news, just day by day, the world and the war is getting worse. I know Trump likes to lie a little bit, and it just, it just really messes with us as young adults. It messes with our future.
Do you think, like you said, as young adults and like as a society, do you think we should be afraid of Trump ever lowering like the age of draft, like potentially to like 17 or 16 if you feel like he really needs the people?
No, I get the one reason.
I don't know. I'd say personally, and this is probably like offensive, but I'd say they should draft the people that voted for him. It doesn't matter the age group. But then again,
Doesn't matter.
yeah.
You do talk about nationalism a lot. I feel like, including some research or even tampering around with the idea of like the domino effect of Vietnam would really strengthen the more personal note of the argument. Because you talk about how all of these men were drafted and the ones who did come back were riddled with Agent Orange and PTSD. And while they were there, since they're loosely drafting just like young men or men who may have been older but still had adolescent minds, they're over there producing kill counts that we can't even begin to have a nightmare of. But yeah, I really liked it. I feel like that's like the biggest display of the drafting going along that I can think of. And it'd be worth tampering around with the information.
What would the way we go to war look like if we never implemented the draft again? Like, what would we do instead?
I'd say the government should make it voluntary, and they should induce people to want to go to war. So, for instance, they would motivate us. The president would not do what he's doing now. Yeah.
But couldn't that be what we see now as propaganda?
Yeah.
I was like, wouldn't that produce more of like the Uncle Sam, we want you
Yeah.
stuff where they don't really cover what's going on in the media and they get everybody's morale boosted up to go over there and then they go over there and
They got it.
yeah. Oh, the chuckle after this.
They do die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.